I'd like to thank all of you for coming this evening. Make sure that your cell phones are turned off or muted, and please remove your lids and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No, she's gonna be here, but she's gonna be late. She left Madison, Nebraska about 40 minutes ago. Again, thanks for all of you coming to visit with us tonight at our September 12th, September 16th Yankton County Commission meeting. Patty, please call the roll.
Dan,
Here.
Don,
Here.
Wanda, Ryan,
Here.
John.
Here. At this time, I'd like to ask any of the commissioners with any financial conflicts of interest.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not. Need a motion to approve our agenda for this evening.
Move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Item 5 will be rescheduled in a couple weeks.
On 5, yes.
We can, fine with seconding it.
We can strike Corey leave too.
Motion to approve the agenda with the 2 changes.
Second.
We got a motion by Dan, second by Don to approve the agenda with the 2 exceptions.
Vote. Vote.
You want a second?
And we have no executive.
No. Is that what he's?
Yeah, we have no executive session this evening. Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Troy is here, so we can start a little bit early. Public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none. Troy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Oh,
The first item that I was going to talk about tonight was the ambulance remount bid. A month ago when I was at the meeting, he had to go ahead to get the bid put out for the ambulance remount. There was only one bid that came in from Aero Manufacturing. We opened that up yesterday morning, and the bid that they gave us was exactly what they've been quoting us all along. Essentially, the remount portion of the bid is $174,663. As a reminder, we have $171,000 that is set aside in the fund for that specifically, so that's only a difference of $3,663. In addition to that, they do have a remanufactured power load that they are going to install for us at the same time. They did actually give us a little bit of more of a discount on that. A couple of months ago when we were talking about this, or about a month ago, they were going to install that for $14,900. That actually has been reduced to $14,000 even for the power load to be in there. So total for the bid is $188,663, and we do have all that covered with either the money that's set aside or the money that's going to be in the 26 budget. Aero will work with us to make sure that the finish date for the product will be just after the first of the year, so that we can use those 26 budget funds to pay for the remount. Any questions on it?
This bid actually includes the trade-in value of our old ambulance, which is, what year is the body?
The chassis on the trade-in is 2015. And yes, it does include that.
I guess, my concern with as tight as our budget is, and us looking for $1 million in savings. This is, not quite, but 20% of that $1 million. And I know we need it. We got 2 really good ambulances. This would make 3 good ambulances or 4 good ambulances. And I know it's needed, but I don't know, I'm hesitant about doing that. And again, we're searching for $1 million worth of savings. This could be 20% of that or close to that right here. So.
And again, just as a reminder, what we've been talking about here over the last couple of months is that this is an opportunity that is not going to present itself again for this price. If we wait even a year to get this done, we can expect the price to increase probably $20,000 to $30,000 over what it is tonight. And so we'll be looking for that additional money if this comes back to you in a year from now and maybe even longer. The other thing is that they have this chassis sitting on their lot. It's the only chassis that they have left. And if we need to order a chassis, currently they are looking at around 18 months of delivery time when chassis get ordered. The Vermilion ambulance is going through that right now. They just ordered a chassis here a few weeks ago, and they have an 18-month delivery time.
Troy, if we do this, how long are we going to be set for ambulances? I guess, how many years out should we be good for?
If we do this, we should be good for about another 4 or 5 years.
5 years? All right.
You remind me, the condition of the chassis that we're looking to trade in?
Yeah, it's a 2015 chassis. It's 10 years old. It has about 142,000 miles on it currently. It is a diesel engine. We've had our share of issues with those diesels, with the exhaust filters and the exhaust systems. Having to put the diesel exhaust fluid in all the time is an extra expense. The chassis that we're moving to is going to be a gas engine instead, which will save us from all that diesel exhaust fluid and will save us from the headaches of the issues that we have with the exhaust, causing check engine lights and such to go on at times.
Troy, is that going to be a 6-liter gas or is it going to be an 8-liter gas?
6.6 liter V8 gasoline engine.
The only thing I'm gonna add is Troy is right with the diesel engines as of today, with the DEF systems that are on these engines. We run about 65 of them, and several times a year on each unit, we have issues with the DEF not regenerating when it's supposed to and things like that. So I think and we don't idle near as much as I don't think is what the ambulances do. So my only recommendation would be to move the ambulance fleet from diesel to gas.
And a lot of ambulance services are heading in that same direction.
I guess at this time I'd ask for a motion to move forward with the bid on the quote on the new ambulance remount. Now, keep in mind the body of the old ambulance that we're doing will be revamped,
Yes,
and and we're only purchasing the chassis.
correct.
So this time I don't have a motion to move forward.
I'd move forward with the purchase of the remount.
A motion by Don. Can I get a second? Am I allowed to second?
I'll second.
Got a second by Ryan. Any further discussion?
No, I just, for further discussion, I appreciate Troy and what he's trying to do with the ambulance. I guess where I'm sitting, looking at the budget that we have is we're in serious trouble, and we have two very good ambulances. With this, we're gonna have three really good ones, and does it need to happen? Yes, but I think it's a want versus need, so I'm gonna resist this motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Let's do a voice vote on this, Patty.
Yes.
Yes.
Dan,
No,
I vote yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. The other thing that was on the agenda for me to talk about tonight was the ambulance rate increase. You did get that in your packets. The different types of codes that we use for billing the ambulance, what we are currently charging versus what the suggested increases in the rates were going to be, with a little bit of an explanation of what each one of those different categories are. You can only raise rates so much on billed calls, because when you start raising rates, Medicare and Medicaid are still only going to pay what they're paying right now. They're not going to increase their rate just because we did. And so that's going to lead to more write-offs. The private insurance and the private pays, of course, that will be affected by the rate increase. So what I tried to look at was some of the areas where we weren't necessarily relying so much on insurance. You can see at the very bottom, the event standby rates. We're charging $100 an hour currently, suggested that we go up to $150 per hour for that. Vermilion is charging as much as $200 an hour for event standby rates, so we're still in a reasonable area for that. The flight crew transports, those are not billed to insurance. A flight crew transport is essentially giving the flight crew a ride, a taxi ride from the airport to the hospital so they can pick up their patient. The flight crews pay that. I think that we can get a little bit more revenue out of that as well. The mileage, the loaded mileage, we can increase a little bit more. There's some places that we currently charge $18.90. I suggested raising it to $22.50 per loaded mile. There are some ambulance services that are charging even much more than that, but again, with the insurance companies, they're only going to pay so much of what we charge.
Troy, do you think that loaded mileage will increase going from a diesel ambulance to a gas?
I don't think so, because our diesel engines really, because we use them in the city limits so much, we're only getting about 6 to 8 miles to the gallon with those diesels right now.
Okay. And then, because we have a lot of new people here, could you just kind of explain to them is really the Yankton County ambulance, it doesn't matter what our cost is. The insurance company will say, we're only going to pay you $300 for that. Even if it costs us $600 or $800, the insurance company is only $300. And so like you're saying, we can raise our rates, but really it's what the insurance company chooses to pay for these. And
correct. Medicare and Medicaid together make up about 50% of what we bill. Medicare has a specific rate that they pay to specific types of ambulance services. We are considered a rural ambulance service. South Dakota is a rural ambulance state according to Medicare. And so they pay us right now approximately, it's under $500 for each ambulance call. Even if we bill it out at $1,200 or $1,500, they only pay us that $485 approximately is what they pay us, and they're not going to pay us any more than that. And also, once we take a payment from Medicare for an ambulance ride, we are not allowed to bill the patient anymore. So if Medicare pays us their portion, we are unable to bill the patient for the remaining balance of that. We just have to write that off. Medicaid, South Dakota Medicaid is even lower. It only pays about 30 to 35% of what we bill. And that's about it. And again, they've got a specific number that they go by. They pay us that number. Once Medicaid pays us, we are not able to bill the patient anymore of the remaining balance of that bill. So we have to take whatever Medicaid gives us. So that's kind of the trick in the ambulance industry right now, is trying to figure out how to set those rates without making it too high, because essentially whatever we don't get paid, we have to write off.
good explanation.
So the suggested these new suggested rates, these are ones that you came up with?
Yes, so I kind of did a little bit of research of kind of where everybody's at right now. We were still kind of in that neighborhood of with everybody, but I think that we can move some of them up a little bit and still get some reimbursement back from that.
Of course, by raising the rates, you're just gonna make a problem at the end of the year when your profit.
Well, one of the biggest things that we lack in, and a lot of ambulance services do, are the refusals and the no EMS needed and the no transport. Just as an example, if we get called to a motor vehicle accident and somebody's complaining of a little bit of neck pain or shoulder pain, and we take them in the ambulance and we evaluate them and we check their vitals and make sure that they're not injured to the point where they need to be transported, they most of the times they refuse transport in the ambulance, and we just walk away from that without ever charging them anything. We are providing a service. We are assessing them, and we are making sure that they don't need to go to the hospital to be evaluated further by a physician. We're checking their vital signs and making sure that everything is good. And we shouldn't just be walking away from that. And so I actually added those two things in there, and you see that on the first orange colored line where it says basic life support assessment, no treatment, no transport, a $65 charge. We've never charged for any of that stuff before. On the advanced life support, we're going to start charging $95 for that. And that means that maybe somebody's having chest pain. We'll put a cardiac monitor on them and make sure that that it doesn't appear that they're having a heart attack at that point. And if they still don't want to go to the hospital, that's fine. But we will charge for that. Out of 2,300 calls per year that we run, approximately 500 to 600 of those calls are non-billable because of reasons like this. We want to close that gap. We can maybe, and I don't know what that number is going to be yet. It could be 30, 40, 50% more calls that we can actually bill this amount for. It's not a lot, but the reason for that is because insurance won't pay for that. If we don't transport the patient, insurance will not pay. Mm-hmm. We're leaving them where they're at. If it's a motor vehicle accident or if it's at home, we're leaving them there. Their insurance company won't pay. This is going to be a patient pay. And so a minimal charge will allow the patient to be able to reimburse us for that. Correct. But this should help us recover those costs because we're sending out an ambulance crew. They could be tied up for a half hour, 45 minutes, and we're getting absolutely no reimbursement for that.
On the bottom, it says non-medical transports. What would be a case that was utilized for?
That's a category we've had for a long time. It's rarely used. Mostly that would be transporting a body to the morgue in Sioux Falls for autopsy.
Got it. And then the flight crew one, that's where a flight crew would come from get in the ambulance at the airport and go in. Do you think that's a fair rate, or could that be higher? Because, it does take an extra crew to do that.
So when we transport the flight crew to the hospital, we're charging them only for the ride from the airport to the hospital. Once we put the patient on board and we transport the flight crew and the patient back out to the hospital to be put on the airplane, we charge the patient for that ambulance ride, and that's fully billable at whatever rate it is. That's usually an advanced life support. And so we're able to charge them around $1,000 to $1,200 for that. So we get reimbursed both ways. One way we have to charge the flight crew, the other way we charge the patient.
That's all my questions. I appreciate you going through this. I know we did this some years ago, but nothing has gotten cheaper since then. So did you need a motion for this, or what did you want?
Yes.
All right. I'd move approval of the rate adjustments.
Second.
Got a motion by Dan, second by Ryan, to adjust the ambulance rates as Troy has announced. Any further discussion?
I appreciate your work on this. It looks good.
Thank you. John, can I get a quick signature?
Yep. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
When are these going to take effect?
Soon as the ink dries right here, right?
We can actually get them in effect within probably 2 to 4 weeks.
Thank you.
You want to approve the East River franchise?
And the county approves this every 20 years. The last time they approved this, the franchise was in 2003. And it's just
Yeah, what is this then? It's for the electric?
yeah, for the electric power core up out of Madison. And a list, in your packet, you have it lists the different. East River, Clay Union, Northwestern, Bonham, Southeastern.
And then the map is all where the main
Yes.
transmission lines are. So it's just a motion to approve it?
Yeah.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Ryan to approve the East River franchise. Any further discussion?
Just a question, did I read in there that it was a 20-year?
Yes,
Mhm.
it won't now be here to approve for 20 more years,
Year to approve every year,
20 years.
20 years.
Yep.
It's done for 20 years.
You'll be here at the next approval too, Don.
No. Okay, well, that gives me some concerns, but 20-year commitment to hire somebody is a long time.
But then it's no money out of Yankton. We don't pay for anything.
So what are we actually giving them?
They're just showing the map of where,
Where their lines are at?
yeah,
in the
Yes, this is
county.
along our roadways. And so giving them,
Which we don't have from BY Water.
I don't think we do. I don't know.
We don't. I'm sure we don't.
No, I don't think we do.
By law,
But
we're supposed to.
this is, this is kind of essential infrastructure that we need for
Yeah,
our county.
I get
so.
that. Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Sorry.
you have to sign.
Yankton County 4-H, Randy, you're up. Okay,
We didn't know if she was gonna give us.
okay.
I'm Michelle Nielsen, Yankton County Leaders President. I am just, number one, I want to thank you for signing the MOU and approving a cost share, with the state. I did talk to, well, in case you don't know, Tim Tanner is not with the state anymore. So there is a liaison that I've been dealing with.
Not with the state.
No, he's transferred to Missouri. Yeah. But Ryan Beach is the gentleman that we're dealing with right now. State has approved the position for Yankton County. They are in the process of trying to get legalization and everything like that to publish the application and stuff like that. So that's where we're at with that. Our question to you is, you looked at I'm hoping that you looked at the budget. Our year starts October 1st also. The leaders kind of need to know where we're standing on this, from this point on, how the budget looks. If there's questions on the budget, I wanted to remind you, it's not just 125 kids that we're talking about. We do outreach, and it's outreach to all the grade schools and into the middle school that this position. And it's not just Yankton schools, they're into, the Gayville and whatever schools. So, I mean, it's 1,000 kids outside of that. And it's not just the kids, it is the applicator license and things like that. So we're kind of want to know where we're standing on this. Or if there's some questions from you guys or what we can do to help. I guess.
I guess, looking at the budget, it was 17 and now it's 16,
Mm-hmm.
but we did, SDSU has taken the bulk of that position. So it looks like quite a bit is going into building maintenance now. You guys
This-
have some big
So
projects
This,
planned? or-
this budget was put together on the assumption that the 4-H leaders are going to be taking over the building.
Okay, is
Yeah.
that's the plan then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that,
Well,
yes,
okay.
because yes.
Okay,
The other thing to note on this budget too is that we have in the personnel section, we did have a budget for a part-time person. That's not necessarily to be filled, as it appears now, actually, as STSU has approved
Right.
the MOU. So we do have this MOU that does not require a part-time person. And we still have it there. We're going to see how this year goes and really hope that we can do well without a part-time person and save the county that money.
I guess I'd be fine with this if you guys are willing to take over the building with that, because it'd be extra money. Is that what we're saying?
Okay,
Or-
so you would be fine with the 116.
Yeah, if that means that you guys are.
The building would
take-
come back
take
to
the-
us.
The building, yeah, because if we, because there should be a $32,000 cost savings, the way I would calculate it, but
That will, yeah,
Yeah.
that will be,
Yeah.
what we're paying will be in professional services.
The one thing that really brings this up is the logistics of this transition. We have the basement where the contact center is moving out of. Where is our extension agent going to have an office? Are they going to have an office here? Is it going to be just a simple office here? That there's a lot of things that are done in that extension building currently that would take up a lot of room in the basement. Do we want to continue to let that be hosted there? I think we do need to look at this. I don't know if maybe another commissioner would want to join me in sort of task forcing this and seeing how this transition works out, so that we can see what's going to happen with the basement and see how and make sure that this transition of the building here runs smoothly.
So when we talked with the state guy, how much was he asking us to do on wages?
23,000.
23,050.
And now we're asked,
That was on the contingent. Now, with the position, they generally require or at least a part-time person or a support staff with that person. They were waiving that for us to allow that position to be, here. They were waiving that. And that's why Ryan just built in a part-time cost in that in case we would need it at some point. Because it is a lot of job for one person to do.
But the other cost too is that it doesn't we are still covering the cost of operations there for that office.
Correct.
That 23,050 is just is the cost share of the wages for
The wage of the building, right?
4-H coordinator, extension coordinator.
So I guess in my mind, my thought process is that the person once hired by the state would have an office in our facility here. Okay, and if there's meetings or anything like that else that has to take place in that building, then that person would be able to go there, or your leaders would meet there or whatever and have your club meetings there. That's kind of my thought process, and we'll supply the office facility, the whatever it takes to have that office here.
Okay.
And that's kind of what my thought process is. And if once that person is hired and if we got to make some sort of adjustments at once they're here and then that's gonna have to take place. But I think we're all committed to make sure that we have an extension office and a 4-H office in this facility and support 4-H
Okay.
moving forward.
So you're okay with the budget that we passed on to you then?
At this point, yes, but we're going to discuss the budget later. But
Okay.
yes, we're I'm fine with this number at this point in time.
When would you be able to let us know about
You're gonna
that?
know before you leave tonight.
Okay,
We're-
good. I mean, it,
We gotta.
because we need to figure out where we're going from this point on.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
okay, awesome. Thank you.
Minutes.
Well, then that have to be.
We can do plats whenever.
Oh,
Yes.
Good evening. We have 3 plats tonight. First one being plat of Tract H, Deer Ridge in the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter and in the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 8, and a plat of tracts I, J, and K, Deer Ridge in the northeast, excuse me, northeast of the quarter of the southeast of Section 8, all in Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Don to approve the law plat. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Next one's a plat of Tract 1, Palu Edition in the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter and in the northeast quarter of the southwest quarter, lying west of Turkey Creek of Section 24, Township 95 North, Range 54 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Ryan to approve the, I'm not even gonna try to spell that, pronounce that name, but that plat. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Last one's a plat of lots 1A, 2A, and 3A, Forest Lake subdivision in the northwest quarter, the northeast quarter of Section 13, Township 93 North, Range 57 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Motion by
Second.
Dan, second by Ryan to approve the Vavra Dooley plat. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. You want to go on to final building payment before the budget?
Yeah,
Because the
I
budget's
think-
got to be at 6:35, right, Patty?
No, it's not advertised.
Okay.
Well, I think we need to have it there
Okay.
because Wanda have a chance to be here, so I
Okay.
want her to,
Yeah, go ahead.
if she can. If she gets here in time.
Do you want me to do the?
Final building
Yeah.
payment.
All right. Well, good news, everybody, is the final building payment for the safety center and the jail is going to happen in November. I think that's correct, Patty, November. I think that's a positive thing for our community to have a fully paid off jail and safety center. And I think we should do maybe a little celebration and talk to the sheriff. And our thought was maybe reach out to the people that helped build that back 20 years ago and maybe just take a few minutes and recognize them. What most of us don't realize is what happened is 20 years ago is they built the jail larger than was needed even today. So we have excess space that we can do marshal holds and hold for other counties. And it has been generating around, is it about $1 million of revenue or give or take?
I just pulled the sheet today. So in August of this year,
Mhm.
we're already over $900,000
Yeah.
for August.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna break some records this year.
So I mean, just think of that as the people who sat in these desks 20 years ago. They might have needed 40 beds, but they built it for 140 back when, I'm sure it didn't seem like it was cheap to build that building then, but it would be many, many more millions now. And so it's a positive thing for Yankton County. And I guess I'd work with the sheriff and we would reach out to, if the people that were involved were still around, maybe just take a few moments at one of our meeting in November and recognize them and again, positive thing for our community.
Yeah, so a while back, I know we had talked about a way to celebrate it, and so my question is, you know, as your sheriff and elected official, I'm more than happy to help out with that process. I just don't know how you guys wanted to go about it, and so Dan and I talked about it, about how we could plan an event, and that's why we brought it to the commission tonight, just to figure out what we want to do.
Thanks, Preston.
Yes. Ooh, I think the auditor.
Does anybody have an issue with that? It's not gonna be I think anything huge, just,
Well, I'd strongly support it.
yeah. Well, you know, we
I
don't,
think just an acknowledgement would
Yeah.
be, you know,
I mean, it
Like
is a
it
huge victory is sometimes we don't take a moment and just say, wow, we accomplished this. And we look across our state to Edmonds County and Cottington County and Clay County next door, that they are just building their jails and they're going to be paying it off for years and years. I mean, look, Clay County next door is what, 44 bed jail, $44 million. And we have 140 bed jail.
120.
120.
Yep.
I wish it was bigger.
We can cram them in there, I guess.
And I don't know what was that? Do you remember what that initially cost?
no,
But
not
it-
offhand.
Significantly less than that and it'll be paid off. So I'll work with the sheriff and we'll keep you guys posted.
So what we wanted just to kind of clarify is, do you want to bring it to the commission and do something? Because if the last payment's in November, what we were thinking is maybe sending a formal letter to all the previous commissioners, inviting them to come in. Now, if it's in November, some of them might be snowbirds and they might not be able to make it. So you might not have a good turnout.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were talking about when we
Yeah.
host our employee appreciation dinner, maybe just before that, since all the commissioners will be around for the dinner, maybe just before that, we give them a tour of the building, or do you guys want to have it? So I just want some clarification so we can get something planned.
I guess I'd probably like to maybe do it at the first commission meeting in November and if they can make it, great. If they can't, maybe do that, but
Or when you do the last payment, you have Patty do a check
Likely in December.
on December. Just have her print out a check, and those who can come,
yeah,
they hold the last check, and then
yeah,
Randy has a story to write.
yeah.
And then,
I'd like to
and
do
then,
it the
and then
first
we got a
November.
piece of paper, like a mortgage
Yeah.
burning.
Yep, yeah, you could do it. We could make a fake big check.
I'd like to do it.
Right.
We'll void it out to make sure it's not
I know a couple of.
get the
them that's
auditor
not for the winter,
eyes
so
rolling.
I'll just do that. So, okay,
So we just want clarification how, I know we talked about it, but there wasn't really any specific plans. And so if we don't plan now, it's not gonna happen, and we want to make it organized. So is that a Dan and I task?
yeah, first, let's plan on first meeting in November. We'll hear and we'll do a little thing, so.
Okay.
And if you got any suggestions, let us know, so. Okay,
Sounds
thank you,
good.
Sheriff.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Get a motion to approve the September 2nd minutes.
So moved.
A motion by Dan, second by
Done.
Don to approve September 2nd minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. How about the September 5th minutes?
So moved.
Approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Don, second by Dan to approve the September 5th minutes. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
right.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Has Wanda got anything in the claims?
Wanda wasn't in the claims, was she?
Not that I saw.
Get a motion to approve the claims?
So moved.
Got a motion by Dan. Second by
Second.
Ryan. To approve the claims, all in favor, or any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. August 2025 Auditor Treasurer Report and Pooled Cash.
Move approval.
Got a motion to approve. And get a second.
Second.
Got a motion by Dan, second by Ryan to approve the August 2025 auditor treasurer report and pooled cash. Any further discussion?
That's a pretty, really, that's a pretty big obligation that we have.
Mhm.
And we just kind of do it. Trustingly. And I trust the auditor and the staff 100%.
I guess I'm not sure where you talking.
Well, this is a big deal to pass this, and we trust that you and the other Patty do diligence and.
You guys get you
Yeah.
guys get all the papers,
Right,
so it shows.
but you got to put the numbers on the paper.
So where the numbers come from, that, you know. If somebody's dishonest, it's a possibility they can do that.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Budgeted cash transfer to the highway. What are we looking at there? $2 million and
From the back general fund to highway. And it's in the budget, you guys
He's
approved
got
that last year.
yeah,
What's it going to for projects?
It's
Projects.
just they're in the red.
Mhm. In our current 2026 budget, we have a budgeted 2.6, I think.
The total is more than that, it's 4.
Oh, I was looking earlier there. I think it's
For
2.6 just to the highway and road
426.
for 26. Yeah.
It's more, I think, for this year.
Yeah. It just kind of highlights our road system is very expensive.
Well, I think if we're having some general discussion here, the public needs to understand that with some of the budget cuts that we're gonna take, there's gonna be very little road work done other than just daily maintenance, grading, and projects are gonna be almost totally eliminated.
And that was a point that a lot of you guys were here on that Friday that when Jeff came and spoke, and the $11 million budget can cover, the court system and the operation of everything but the highway department. And so really, that's the only place counties can cut is the highway. And unfortunately, without additional revenue sources, that's going to be what has to suffer, because almost everything else is an unfunded mandate from the state that we're required to pay for. So you're right, Don.
Well, hopefully we can change our culture a little bit and reduce some of the legal expenses.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm looking for a motion and a second to move the budgeted cash transfer to the highway department.
I would so move.
Got a motion by Wanda. Need a second?
Done.
Second by Don. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, Wanda is here. And it's 6:35, so we're going to open up for discussion and approve the 2026 county's budget. Any discussion?
Guess we're starting out a discussion. We approved the provisional budget, which is where we're standing at today. And we're still, if we don't make any changes, looking at $11 million of revenue and $15 million of expenses. We heard from the state that is not a sustainable path that we can go down to. We might be able to do it this year, but then next year we're gonna be going off a financial cliff. And I think.
And that's with all the road cuts that we're,
Well,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, what did you say, Don?
I said that is with all the road cuts that we've talked
Yeah.
about.
yeah, again, this is probably the most important decision that we are gonna make this year. And it's a tough decision that nobody wants to have to make, but I would like to see about a total of $2 million in cuts to get us from 15 to, around the 13 million mark. And by doing that, with the reserves we have, we will be able to survive a few years. And how we do that is how we're gonna have to do that. I mean, we could cut $1 million off of the highway department. But is that fair? I don't know. Or we could look at just doing stuff across the board. I don't know if that's fair either, or we could do nothing and then we're gonna be in very serious trouble next year.
Well, as we had talked to, can't remember his name, but
Jeff.
yes, we're sitting here and looking at this is that costs have gone up. Taxes have not gone up that much, not in the same pace. And when you look at it, particularly the taxes we collect for maintaining roads has been very flat, while the road costs have gone up significantly. So we're sitting here facing with I think it's a very tough and hard to swallow pill, but we have a choice of retreating and trying to really cut down on what we spend on roads, which is going to mean a lot less maintenance and people are going to have to deal with a lot worse roads. Or we have to look at increasing taxes and doing something like, as he said, one of the tools we have is a highway, bridge and road opt-out. No one likes to hear that. No one does like to hear that, but when we're doing we have a schedule for next year, we have a schedule 2.6 million that we're going to take from the general fund to the highway, road and bridge. And because it just costs that much money just to keep the roads together here in our county.
Was that 3 years ago? We had that really bad winter and we spent an extra $1 million on snow removal too. And that's always an option that can happen too, is
Farmers Almanac says we're gonna have a horrible winter, but that's negative thinking.
Thanks for that uplifting thought.
So I got one thing with the highway department. I'm the one, and I are the liaison with the highway department. And the provisional budget, we've already cut $2 million off of what we spent last year on the highways, the roads and bridges. So that's a pretty significant cut on projects that are not going to get done next year. $2 million is probably about 23 miles of road that's not going to get fixed, and probably about 3 or 4 bridges that are not going to get fixed. So in all actuality, I don't think it's fair that we expect our highway department to take another $2 million off. That's going to put it, if we do that, that's going to put it at $4 million expenditures. And if you take $4 million in, I don't know how many miles we have in Yankton County, 550 some miles. Just do the calculation that, and we have to run road graders, and in the winter time, we still have to plow those roads. So if we make that drastic of cuts to the highway department, and if we have a terrible winter, we may not have enough funding to buy the diesel fuel to put in the trucks to plow your roads. And that's an exaggeration, and I understand that, but these are some of the realities that we have to look at.
It's not an exaggeration, it's a reality.
So I put together a little proposal. I don't know if just got it done this evening. The rest of the commissioners are just had a few minutes to look at it. But I put together a proposal that if we do a 10% cut across the board, not affecting wages, we're gonna do a 2.7% wage increase with the cost of living increase. There's gonna be no more wages increases throughout the year, no other increases in wages. And if we do a 10% cut across the board, it's gonna save us $1.2 million. Now, that's a long ways from 4 million. But I think we're gonna cut some of our expenses down from this year yet on the road and the highway. So there's projects that are not gonna get done again this year. So,
Well, the estimated wages I see on your report for the county is 7,064,000.
Did I get a copy of it?
If you're gonna do anything on this budget, of reduction of expenses, it's somehow gonna affect employees. Cause that's where, I mean, that's over, it's probably 65-70% of the expenses for the county.
But that's true, but we still need people to move snow and grade roads and
I understand that one, but
jail people.
we have to pay them,
I get it.
okay?
But you know, you're gonna look at the end of the year, you wanna cut 10%, 7%. Just wait till the end of the year, you're gonna have to increase that contingency fund.
I don't think so.
Utilities are gonna go up. So you're not,
Utilities already figured
so you
into
don't, I
the,
know, but you like estimated and you ask us to be frugal with our budget now, and that's what we've all done. And they're still gonna, supplies are gonna go up. It's just, I just want you to be prepared for at the end of the year, because I'm not gonna have the pool cash report all in the red.
What do you mean?
Let's open it up.
Because that is,
Well,
that goes on,
Sometime.
when the state auditor, will do the, now, he's almost done the 22 and 23, he's gonna do 24 and 25. And I won't be here, but it's still gonna be, and I still want those balances to be in the black.
Well,
So
obviously,
then we have to do the contingency funds. Because I'm the one that gets written up if anything is in the red.
okay.
I think, but we did increase the contingency fund this year to 500,000 instead of 400,000 in the past.
So we have a little bit of a cushion.
And I would say there, I mean, our elected departments, you know, like Patty and Brian and the other Patty, they have very, very small budgets. And there's not a lot to cut, but I don't know another way to do it. There is no good way to do this. And
The gentleman from the state was standing right there. What did he say? He said, cut road expenses, cut this
Everything.
expenses, cut.
No, he said the general fund, that what the taxes that the county receives in is sufficient to do all the services that the county has to do in the general fund,
minus roads,
minus roads.
but we also can't not plow the roads this winter either. I don't feel that's an option.
I have a question. So when you guys are doing the budget stuff for like EMS, whatever they collect back for their billing, is that accounted for towards that 4 million shortfall, or is that already in?
No.
So that's
Still spend that budget. They're still, you know, yes, they're getting revenue from that, but that revenue, it just goes in the general fund. It doesn't go to the ambulance.
yeah.
Like your
jail.
jail, that doesn't go, that just stays, that goes to the general fund.
So it just supplements what we're, so is that counting against,
That's part of the $11 million revenue.
that's part of the 11 million. So like, how do you calculate what we're gonna generate?
I'm sorry, what was the last
It's
part?
an estimation.
It's an estimation, okay. So I know when you talk about the 10% cut, in the sheriff's office, it's 24/7, 365. And we have to answer the call. And so what I'm explaining here is that in the jail, for example, if we don't have employees in the jail, because there's nowhere else that we can cut when we talk about professional services in the jail. We get a lot of people who don't ever seek medical attention until they get incarcerated. And I think last year we were over budget because, you know, we had one individual had HIV that had to have a $10,000 pill. That's something I can't predict.
Yep.
Now the other stuff in there too is like, you know, we got mattress replacements. We have to, you know, care for the inmates too. I know it's jail, so they're not getting top-notch mattresses, but we have to pay for those. So at the sheriff's office in like 24/7, so we have 5 separate budgets. We have a 24/7 coordinator, and everything that she does, the county supplies the employee, but they generate the cost from the person that's on the 24/7 program. So for a 10% across the board, especially at the sheriff's office, I don't know how that's gonna happen.
I don't know either. I don't know how any of the departments are gonna do a 10% cut. But 15 years ago, the state of South Dakota demanded every department to make a 10% cut, and they did it. So I don't know if it's gonna happen, but that's how we got a budget. And if, you know, we're setting $500,000 aside for contingency. And if we don't do something drastically, and if all of our departments don't buy into the program, we are gonna have to cut positions within the next year or two. And I don't wanna have to tell you, you need to fire 2 deputies, or you need to fire 2 jailers. I don't wanna have to do that. But if we run out of money, we will have to do that because the taxpayers are not gonna generate enough money to continue this budget.
So just example, for whatever reason, we have to cut jailers. Okay. I just told you guys a little bit ago in August. I know, but I'm just saying, if you're already supplementing some of the revenue that the jail money is coming from the marshals, we're already at $962,000 in August. If I have to cut employees, you're not going to generate any of that stuff. And so it's even less than what we're getting. Now, transports, and I talked to Don about this a while back, that we're working with the US Marshal Service to generate some more revenue. And I think as of today, or in August, you know, we've generated almost an extra $69,000 just by driving. Okay.
What if you cut, sounds harsh, what if you cut open positions? So you don't actually affect, no, I'm not talking jail, don't you have a couple of deputy open positions that aren't filled yet, but are in the budget?
There is one detective position open now. Now, when we do investigations, and you're a defense attorney, so this is perfect. But when we do investigations, we just don't take a crime, go to the call. Sometimes there's forensic stuff. There's a lot of digging into cell phones that we have. And so investigations today is much different than.
Investigations back in the day.
Correct.
However, in fairness, some of the, like the cell phone dumps are ordered to be repaid by the defendants, and hopefully they pay those, and frankly, they should be punished if they're not paid. But that's just my personal opinion as a commissioner.
So, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff, and we just had a jury trial with the state's attorney's office, and so the investigation from our sheriff's deputies and detectives and whoever
Helped with that.
helped, and including myself. I was even out on the scene and it was downpouring, but we all try to help where we can. I'm just saying that it's public safety's.
And I'm not saying that any one of our department heads waste money or spend money that they shouldn't be spending or whatever. But as far as the 5 of us sitting up here, we have to And we've been told by the state of South Dakota that if we don't do some cuts, we're gonna run out of reserve money within the next year or two. And if we run out of reserve money and the property tax dollars don't come in to pay all the wages, right now, we're paying the wages. Plus, we're given a 2.7% cost of living increase. But if we, in 2 years from now, if the property tax, and especially if what happens in this property tax issue in the legislators, right now, the tax task force, you know, they want to cut 50% off of the county's portion of the property tax of the owner occupied housing. Okay, but they don't have a plan as of yesterday. They don't have a plan to where that extra 50% is going to come from. They're going to still fund the schools at 60% or 57%. We still have to do that. We still have to give the city their portion or less the portion of what we're going to get. But all of that stuff is revenue generated. And you know what? If previous commissioners would have saved some of the COVID money, we might be in a better position, but we're not. They stuck all that money back into road improvements.
Well, I think it
Years
had
ago.
to be
It had
spent.
to be spent.
It had to
Yeah.
be spent, so
I get
they
that.
couldn't save it.
And
And
plus, when you talk about reserves, the reserves are from year to year, say the end of this year. The reserves are the departments that don't spend their whole budget. That stays back in the general fund. That's the reserve.
Exactly.
So if you have everybody want to cut 10%, 7.5%, there's no going to be reserves or leftover budget for some of the departments.
no, I don't think anybody wants to do any cuts. I mean, why would you? But we are in a position where we're gonna take our medicine now, or we're gonna really take it in 2 years. I mean, or less. And, you know, I wish we weren't in this situation, but we are. And really, to me, this is a reflection on what inflation has done. When we discuss this, this 11 million, our revenue goes up by 3%. Or CPI, whatever's less. Look at what the costs to do road maintenance have done. Look at what costs to do wages. Look what it takes to buy police cars now and ambulances. That's gone up much more than 3%, probably 20%. But we still have the same revenue, and we are trying to do the same amount as we were with the same amount of money, and it's just not gonna work.
So just to point on what Patty was saying though,
Mhm.
if we take our general budget and we cut out $1 million, our revenue is based on our budget. That sets the levy. So cutting our budget, our general fund budget, without addressing where we're doing the transfers out of it, isn't going to help us, because we're not going to get more revenue. We're actually going to decrease our revenue with decreasing our
How
budget.
are we gonna decrease
Because
our
our,
revenue?
because the levy is set based to our budget.
Yeah, but we're at $15
We're not a
million.
business, we're not a business where
and
the
11.
revenue just comes in. We're a government where revenue is based on taxes, which are based on levies, which is based on our budget. We're only allowed to collect what we budget.
Yeah, but you're assuming, I think that's wrong, because our revenue is based on 3% of CPI.
That's a
And
cap,
whatever
that's a
okay,
cap, that's
that's
a
a
cap
cap.
on our revenue.
And so the max amount we're gonna get is our 11 million plus this 3%. It doesn't matter if we budget for 18 million, we're not gonna suddenly get more
No,
money.
because it's a
Ryan.
cap on our revenue. That's a cap on our
We're
revenue.
gonna meet our cap
And-
on revenue
oh,
no
no.
matter where we're gonna go. So the more money we budget for, that doesn't mean more money comes down.
If we reduce our general budget below what it was last year, that means that cap isn't being met. That cap is
Yeah,
down
we
here.
will absolutely,
The cap is a
yeah,
growth
yeah.
cap on our taxes.
I don't think that's right. I'm sorry. I think you're misunderstanding it.
Who's right? Is Ryan correct?
So if we.
So if we
go
cut
to
our
14
budget-
million, then we don't, okay, go ahead. Sorry, Wanda.
So if we cut our budget, then the levy goes down.
Yes, and the money goes down.
Which reduces property taxes.
This is exactly why you can't run government like a business, because a business just gets revenue in and it doesn't have revenue caps, and its revenue isn't directly tied to its budget. That never happens in business. In business, you get revenue and you got to be responsible with it. Here we have to be.
Federal government got $38 trillion in
Exactly.
debt and can't service it.
Well, the federal government has a wholly different
Yeah, they
system
can
than
print
we do.
money.
And I would like,
They can print money,
And I
exactly.
would- yeah.
But the problem here is that we are taking out of our general budget, which is covering everything, but now we also have these transfers out, trying to cover things like roads. Unless we solve the problem of how we're going to finance our road projects, we're not going to solve this by cutting budgets everywhere.
So what is the plan?
Yeah, let's hear the plan.
well, I would like to also remind everybody here,
Taxes, you can increase taxes by CPI and growth. So you're getting that revenue. But then you look at all the departments' budgets, or some of it are over that, but that's what the levy, that is how the levy is calculated through that.
and I would like to remind everybody too, is
So
that,
then we would be better off if we just give everybody a 10% raise and spend 10% more money, so we get more, so the levy goes up, so the taxpayers pay this much money and we get more money.
But you can't do that because.
I know you can't, but what I'm saying, that would be in the real world. That would be the
Without
best
cap,
case
yes.
scenario, right?
And that's why they have those caps in. It's not the
Yeah,
best solution, but that's how they've handled that solution from keeping local governments from growing out of control, is putting these caps on. It's not the best solution, because we're driven in here where we have some volatile years in costs. And because of that cap, we are very static in what we can grow in budget and revenue. And now the costs have outpaced our growth of,
So are
we
you,
can grow our taxes.
are you saying that if we cut the budget 10% across the board, that the levies will go down, or will they stay the same?
I'm saying that if we cut, that's possible that we cut 10% of our budget out, and all that happens is it reduces taxes, and then we have the same problem that we have.
It's not gonna cut the levy as much as, and we were just out in Pier at the meeting, and the levy is affected very little according to the expenses.
Patty, is that right?
Well, you really don't know that from year to year, because and all the entities like townships, towns, schools, they get the same, whether we like it or not, they get the same.
Yep.
But, and it depends upon what they request, and they request CPI and growth. That's all they can get. Now, next year, whether they have over 3% growth, say a township has 8% growth, we can only put the growth at 3%.
Exactly. But everything, including the costs to do these, are gonna grow at a greater rate than 3%.
And we can't
Yeah.
change that.
Nobody's
So-
saying this is a magic bullet, but we just, if we reduce our budget enough to stay alive for a couple more years, then we can look at other options, road and bridge levies, things like that. I think we're gonna need a couple years of a time to do some of that. And approving the budget that we have now is gonna eat up every bit of reserves we have. And then the budgeting next year, we're not gonna have the funds to pay for it. That's why if we could reduce it a small amount this year and a small amount next year, we'll be okay. Not doing that, again, we're going off a financial cliff. That's what Jeff told us here. And he's the expert from the state. He said we have to cut, and now apparently we don't. That's news to me. Well, I tell you what, I'm not approving a $15 million budget. If you guys want to do that, you can vote for that. I'm not going to vote for that.
now, something I'll say is that when I came here tonight, this is the first time I heard of a 10% cut just before the meeting. So when it comes to public safety, Yankton County is very unique. We have a human services center. We now have the Lewis and Clark Behavioral Center that's regionalized. We have the women's shelter. We have a homeless shelter. We have a trustee unit. We have a federal prison camp. We have all these things.
The federal prison camp isn't causing any problems, so.
Well, if you see a tennis ball, it gets thrown over the courtyard. But we serve civil papers all the time to the federal prison camp, so
And do you get paid for those?
we do charge. And we did change the fees. State legislation allows us now to do a $50 setup fee. So I have changed that as also. But I'm just saying, for this all of a sudden to come out that we're gonna do a 10% cut across the board doesn't give us as department heads ample time to make some decisions.
And I guess I appreciate that, but unfortunately, we have to have this provisional budget set in stone here pretty quick.
By October 1st.
And I
Yeah.
agree, I just,
So, I mean, 14 days, that's not a lot of time.
and you guys, I mean, so 10% across the board right now by October, I mean, that's making us,
Think,
I think when we started the budget process, I wish that would have been factored into it, but again, when it comes to public safety and other things that the county needs to provide, we have to think about that.
So here is the problem. Cutting the budget doesn't solve things necessarily, especially if we cut the budget artificially and the money has to be spent anyway. And I think that's what we hear. And it's like, some of these things like, oh yeah, we're gonna play that we don't have to spend this money, but really, if we want to keep the lights on, the electric bill has to be paid. Is the better solution here? Is there a solution here, taking from how maybe you would run a business and say, instead going to your department heads and saying, can we provide an incentive that if you guys come in 10% under your budgets, you keep that 10% under your budgets, is there some way we can provide an incentive to do that through the year? Because we have to spend less, that's for sure. And we can cut budgets, but if it isn't done with a lot of thought, if we just cut 10% off the top, that could be disastrous or just completely ineffective. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work, even on granular scale, to cut these budgets.
I'm ready to hear your proposal, Ryan.
And so my thought, or the rhetorical question I bring out is it possible that we can provide some type of incentive to where through the year, our department heads can save the 10% off their budgets? And is there some incentive that we can provide to them to really achieve that goal?
like what?
That's the question.
Okay, you may not want to hear this, but you're gonna. I spent 30-some years of my life working with large loans to farmers.
Distressed loans,
What?
a lot of distressed loans.
Distressed farmers, bankruptcies, foreclosures. I would say that 80% of them, if they dug down deep into their operation and decided that they needed to make a change and do some things differently, 80% of them are still out there today. 20%, they're probably not out there. And
I know, back at that time, I was doing a lot of budgets for farmers.
yeah, usually fighting me.
Truth.
But I handled special accounts for Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Iowa, and that's a big area. A lot of, and when you're in debt trouble, it doesn't do any. You can't spend your way out of debt. That's the mistake everybody made in the 80s and 90s.
I agree with Preston that in a department where we're offering services 24/7, it's more like 75 to 80% of my budget goes to salary and benefits. And to cut 10% of that is going to be really difficult without affecting wages somehow. And I don't want to do that because I think we have good staff that works hard and deserves those wages. I'll tell you this, I have been the interim administrator on and off in my department for the last 7 years. I heard a lot of comments that I'm doing a pretty good job at it. Right now, we have a search going on to find a new administrator for the department. It's been going on for about 5 months now. We would likely bring in somebody from out of state who's going to be requiring the higher end of our salary in order to even come in the door. That's going to cost us another $100,000 plus in our budget. There's 10% of your $1 million right there.
So is that how you're gonna cut your 10%?
My suggestion would be then to let me continue to act as the director for an extended period of time without filling the position, or to give me the opportunity to move up to the director's position, if that's what you want me to do. And we wouldn't have to fill that, and that will save us $100,000 plus per year to help with that 10% or that $1 million that we need to save in that budget. That would be my suggestion.
So you've just saved 100,000.
I'm perfectly willing to do that. Absolutely.
Can't cancel that remount, that'd be 300.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah. The remount's not.
We were a third of the way there.
remount's not gonna affect our budget for
We were a
next year.
third of, well, if we didn't spend that and that would carry over, it would.
No, that.
That money's already there. That money was
That money's already
used. But I'm saying moving forward, that would save us that $100,000 plus per year without filling that position. And I would be perfectly willing to do the job that I've been doing on and off for the past 7 years.
I would support that.
Brian?
I'm sorry.
Bear in mind if I make a couple quick comments?
Absolutely. You got the floor.
All right, I wanted to speak very briefly to efficiency. Yankton County is one of the more efficient counties in the state, even despite the fact that we have to run 100% of the cost of an ambulance, which most, if any other counties do, I'm not sure. But the state average county expenditures per capita is $1,500, $1,509. In Yankton County, it's 860. So I think we're efficient if we're at half of the state average. But that's not the main reason. I wanted to share a couple of numbers. There's been a lot of talk about the 4.4 million cash applied and how that's a large percentage of the $15.9 million general fund budget. But I just wanted to say 4.4 million is the least we've carried over in the budget over the last 5 years. You know, in 2022, it was 5.1, 2023, it was 7.5, 2024, it was 6.6, 2025, it was 6.3. This budget you're working on right now, it's 4.4. So that seems to me
Yeah, but you gotta take the COVID money out.
okay, well, some of that was COVID money.
We're not even comparing apples to apples.
Well, okay, I'll go there, Don. So for this year, 4.4 million out of the 15.9 is 28.5%. So we're cash applying 28.5% to the 2026 budget. If you look back at the years prior to COVID, 2018, we applied 3.4 million to an $11.2 million general fund. So that was 30.4%. In 2020, we applied 3.1 million to an $11.9 million budget, which is 26%. 2021, again, this is pre-COVID dollars. We applied 3.5 million to a $12.3 million budget, which is 28%, which is exactly where we're at right now. Now, I don't want to say that we shouldn't be making cuts or that, we shouldn't be doing everything we can. But to me, I think we're kind of where we were before COVID in terms of our general fund balances and in terms of the percentage being applied to the overall general fund budget. I guess my only point is before you do anything like a 10% cut, I think we ought to wait a year and see if the numbers actually do get worse or if they're getting better. I know there's a lot of concern about the property tax reform, but nothing has happened yet. And I think to cut 10% right now would be premature when we don't even know what that's going to look like. Thank you.
Let's see if anybody from the public has anything.
Yeah, let's open it up for public comment. Something to speak on? You want to give us some advice?
Randy, come on, tell us what we should do.
I will say that, like I said, we were in Pier last week, Monday, Tuesday, we had our state, county commission, county officials, convention, and all 66 counties are in the same situation that we are right now. We're not out there in la la land or anything like that. We're all the same. The counties are all in the same situation. But I do know that Jeff, the last meeting, stood there and said that if our variation between what we're carrying over is more than $900,000, and he went back 5 years and he took the COVID money out of that situation, and anything over $900,000 carryover is a loss. So if we're gonna carry over $200,000, that's $110,000 loss to our general fund. And right now, our general fund is probably gonna be around 400,000 at the end of the year. So we'll carry 400,000 over. So if we lose 110,000 this year, or for next year, that means that our general fund is gonna only carry over 290,000. So that's the situation. That's the numbers that concerns me the most but so, I would appreciate some comments from the public. And I sure wish tonight there would have been more, because the budget was on the agenda, so.
One of the things that I heard in Pier when we were there last week was that in some counties, they've gone to the public and asked experienced public people in finance to come and review the county's budget and that process. And they've gotten some really good comments out of that. I think we don't have any time left, but I think that's something we should do, and we'll amend the budget after the 1st of September or October. Not that we don't understand finances.
Well, I think there's value in when Susan came down and talked about the Financial Action Network, and we've actually had some volunteers from our audience that want to get involved in that already, and bring in visibility to those problems, I think is positive.
But we can talk all day
Mhm.
and talk all night, but it doesn't change the fact.
They were spending $4 million more than we got coming in.
We're spending more money than we bring in. But the flip side of that coin is we don't want to cut so low that we adversely affect the levy. Not that I am a big fan of taxes, but my real estate taxes have gone up every year for the last 4 years. And it's not because I'm going, oh, let's spend more money. It's just, that's the way it is. People are building better and nicer houses, and there are comparable houses that are apparently worth more, and it raises taxes. And unfortunately, it doesn't make that much of a difference in the long run because of inflation.
Yeah. If you have inflation, your taxes are going to increase. I mean, it just has to happen. Let's not, it's really hard to operate where your taxes decrease every year. I don't think that's even possible.
Might be fine if they stayed the same once in a while.
Yeah, well, that'd be very nice. But we want the roads, we want the services, we have to make sure that they're paid for.
Well, there's another thing that we haven't addressed, at least as a group. And I thought he'd have to help me if it's even possible, but we've got what? 150, $200 million of property or that's not taxed.
Probably
What's
more
the
than that.
amount? All the churches, all the
Yeah.
buildings that, the
Hospital.
clubs, the organizations that aren't taxed.
Well, we also have tax incentive districts that aren't taxed either, so. Obviously, if we had more things taxed, we'd have a bigger budget.
It'd be nice to have a sales tax.
Well, hopefully, even a 0.5% out in that the county would get would make a huge difference.
You guys will have to decide what. Because we need this, I have to send it off to Pierre, and then, you know, levies are, I'm gonna start working on levies, and I don't wanna wait till the last minute for anything.
Well, I'm kind of with Dan. I'm opposed to, approving a budget that we're looking for $4 million in.
If we cut 10% across the top. How,
That's not cutting any wages. Well, I mean, we're allowing the 2.7% cost of living.
I get
increase.
that. Everybody is gonna have to tighten their belt a little bit except the employees. The employees are paid the same plus. But my question is, if we cut 10% across the top, and I understand it's short notice to department heads, but if we do that, what is the ultimate answer? How much are we 2 million off then? Are we $1.4 million
Plus, on the
saved?
page, this it shows
1.2?
10%.
1.2 or less,
Less than 4.4.
less than 1.2 off. That's what it does.
So
Well,
Doesn't solve everything. It doesn't.
it'd take us from a 15 million to 13.5, so we'd be $2 million, 2.5 over instead of 4, which is positive. And I think that gives us maybe another year. Gives us maybe another year to do something else. And I guess basically we could live the fight another day.
maybe the legislature will do something this next
I
time.
mean, they're gonna have to, or counties are gonna go bankrupt all over the state.
The states in, you know, that $163 million excess funds that everybody's been talking about.
Of which 50, they say 50%.
The last I heard was like there's only about 46 things
50,
that haven't been,
50 million in unclaimed property.
yeah.
But also the 4.5 to 4.3%, that's about $100 million in sales tax. They're choosing not to collect either. So
My point is I don't see the state
exactly.
Fixing it.
sending a lot of money out. I don't see the federal government sending a lot of money out. They've done it for 30 years now and it's been a disaster.
So
Well, we gotta do something. I'll make a motion that we cut 10% across the board.
And a motion, can I get a second?
to discuss it, I'll second it.
Got a second by Ryan, by first, motion by Wanda, second by Ryan, further discussion.
I have one quick question, Patty. Let's say we cut this 10% across the budgets. We have a contingency fund of 500,000. We go through that. We're just gonna be spending out of the general fund anyway.
Correct.
So, you know, if we can cut the budget, if at the end of the day, we can't cut the actual expenditures, we're gonna be in the same place. But I guess if we cut the 10%, at least we have the goal line set.
I just want to speak on 10% is a pretty drastic hit, especially to my office, and I'm sure other department heads. I know that Don was part of this audit that we were looking to make sure that we weren't spending outside of what we shouldn't be, besides salaries. And he came back and he reported saying it looked good. There was nothing, there's no issues there. So 10% is a pretty drastic cut, especially if we're not talking salaries. But essentially, I'll have to cut salaries if I have to make a 10% cut.
Or you can cut a couple of open positions that haven't been filled yet.
Those positions, yeah, but it's public
But-
safety.
I'm sorry,
It's public safety when it comes to it.
I get that, but
But
if
they're
they haven't,
Not there now.
if they haven't been there for a year,
One,
There's 4 vacant positions in the jail right now, according to the budget that was proposed.
right now. I just
I
had
don't
it-
know when.
I'm just,
when you
I
proposed
know,
the
what I'm
budget.
just saying is that, I got a resignation the other day
No, what?
for another jailer.
No, what I'm saying is on the budget proposed that you presented to us, there's 2 sheriffs and 4 jailers that are vacant positions.
Correct.
that you're
jailers,
Budgeting for.
you have to
But
have
who's
jailers
not-
though.
Yeah, but who's not to say that I don't hire? So when I submit the budgets, the reason why I put that as open positions is because I may fill that spot in November or July. When I submit that in June, when I came to you guys at one time before, I said, there's already 8 people that's not even on this list in the jail or in the sheriff's office. There's people that come and go. I'm just losing another jailer just the other day to the Scotland Police Department. Yeah, so I think there's a big difference here with 10%.
I got a question.
And not having the department heads come here tonight, knowing that there was gonna be a 10% discussion, because there's a lot of other department heads that would probably want to be here to talk about it.
One thing I do have a question. And is that just to cut the budget, is that just departments or all the other account in the budget?
That was my
All
question.
all of the other, they're all listed on that sheet that we.
The sheet.
What,
sheet that
what are
you
all
have
the others?
It's a 10% on all of the operating expenses.
Across the board.
So you want each department to cut 10%?
10% of operating expenses, not of
Salary.
personnel services.
But say
And-
the court budget,
There's 10% off of that.
or so every item in the budget is cut.
Yes.
I don't think any of us are happy about this discussion. Budgeting was way easier when we had COVID money just flying in.
When we had our little, group back in January, February, and got together, we had department heads there, not all of them, but a team of people reviewing things. And one of the things I asked for, and it was in preparation for the budget, and I asked for suggestions on how they could decrease expenses. And I think I only got one response, and that was Brian, on ideas that could reduce expenses in the county. So I guess I'm saying, Preston, this has been on the table for 8-10 months. So
But
not the 10%, but
yeah, the 10% happened just before 6 o'clock tonight. I'm assuming that you guys just got that. I'm saying it's not fair to the department heads to all of a sudden have to drastically make a 10% cut. Mine would have to be salaries because we have allocated money for law enforcement equipment, ammunition, all those things. I mean, there's a lot of things that go to the sheriff's office that some of you guys have stopped in the sheriff's office.
Do you use up a lot of ammunition?
We have to have state qualifications. So we are required by law, mandated, and as Dan would say, that we have to have those things done for insurance purposes. With our new insurance that we have, I had to revamp all the policies and procedures. So I'm just telling you that there's a lot of things that the sheriff's office does. I encourage everybody to come into the sheriff's office and see what we do and what we have to do.
I want to read a text that I got from a constituent. You have the authority and responsibility to spend dollars wisely. Your sheriff has a champagne budget, as do other departments. First, tighten your belts like every other business is doing. Then identify what is best to ask for legislatively.
Who is the individual?
I'm not going to name that person
Then why read it?
because if you want to read the text, I'll show it.
Well, I know, but I mean,
Mr. Chair, I think it's time to vote.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I think it's time to vote. Nobody's happy with
So I
this.
have a
I'm not-
motion by
I'm not
Wanda,
happy with
I have a
it either.
second by Ryan.
I'm just saying it's not fair to the department heads who weren't here tonight to be able to hear the 10% cuts. That's what I'm saying.
Just so we're clear for the minutes, can you define what across the board is, so we're all clear on your motion? Amended to say 10% out of,
Out of whatever your budget, you can cut it wherever you want, as long as it's 10%.
because
Instead of 4 books, get 3. I don't
This,
know.
this is meant for operational cut.
so under, so it's not personnel, just operation.
I think that's what he's clarifying, because like the sheets was a 10%.
Because we don't have that sheet.
Rate
If,
operating expenses.
and I do have for your
Yeah,
department, I put down that if you haven't hired that person,
10% of
that extra attorney,
Yeah.
then that's not part of the 10% cut.
2.7.
But you could use that as a 10% cut in my mind.
For example,
10% cut.
I'm looking at mine, my operating expenses for the year were $68,000. So I would have to cut $6,800 from that, just so I'm clear on your motion.
I think it's the whole budget for that.
If you have
That's the way I would say.
$700,000 budget, cut 10%. I don't care where you get it. I'm not happy budgeting. Budgeting is not a pleasant thing. I would like to give everybody all the money that they want, but unfortunately,
I'm just
that's
trying to
not an
clarify
option.
it for the record. I don't care what
Okay,
you're.
so
saying.
on this sheet, and we'll make copies so you can have it, but your operational cost is $74,750 is what I have that I got out of the book here. And that's what the 10% is it needs to be cut.
700 or 74,000.
74, no, that's the number. So 10% is $7,475.
When you cut 74, I can do this.
We're just cutting operating.
Just operating expenses
Well, that-
generates
that's
this
not-
number.
That's not gonna.
That's not gonna generate any money to cut.
Well,
It's gonna
If we're
generate
not-
$1.2 million.
Now, so I'm just gonna, there's 5 separate budgets that the sheriff's office is responsible for. The sheriff's side, which again, I talked about regionalized facilities. We are used a lot. Okay, the jail. We have 24/7. I know, just let me.
I've got a
let me-
motion on the floor and it's got to make any difference how many different departments
I know,
you
but
have.
I'm asking you, how do you want me to cut 24/7 without salary? How do I get rid of the expenditures when it's self-funded by the person that's doing the breathalyzer or the scram? Do I cut, I'm gonna end up in the red on 24/7. I'm gonna end up in the red on 911. How do I cut the 911?
Or buy less vehicles, maybe. Buy one less vehicle next year. I
That's-
don't know. I don't have the answer. I wish I had the answer.
I know, so I'm just saying, for clarification on 5 separate budgets, 24/7 is the salary of the person that we have. On the budget, we have to buy supplies.
Okay, why don't all the department heads just kind of work with us and save 10% wherever you can, and if you can't save it, then that's fine, but we have to have a budget prepared for October
Publication.
1st.
And I don't think anybody here is disputing that. I just,
Okay, so this proposal is cutting 1,232,470 out of, and each department, every 24/7. The only ones that we can't cut is like E911. That's a
Can't-
pass through. We can't cut that.
can't cut that one.
Okay.
Now,
Center,
24/7,
if you want to take 24/7 out because it's a pass through, then then we'll make that amendment or whatever we got to do.
because 24/7,
But we need to make a decision tonight
now,
that we're gonna cut $1,230,000 out. Okay,
now juvenile detention, I cut 100,000 out of the budget for next year.
okay.
That was in the budget proposal I did.
Wanda, all I'm trying to say is your motion was too broad. Can you narrow it? So.
Be more
it's clear?
specific on.
I don't want to be more, I want to give the department heads some leeway within which to work. If I say you have to cut personnel or you have to cut this or, no, that as an elected official and a department head, you can make those choices. I don't want to have to micromanage your budget. It's bad enough that I have to do this.
But question is, the number he's proposing in his proposal is only accounting for operating expenses. So that's where the 1.2 million is coming from. However, if we do 10% across the board, you are under the assumption we're going to take out of personnel. So it's two different numbers.
Wanda made the motion, you seconded it.
I think we either have to amend the motion or vote.
So just all in favor,
Want a
Let's
voice
do a
vote
voice-
or a
voice-
roll call vote?
roll call vote.
Yes.
No,
Dan,
Yes,
Don,
Restate the motion, please.
I believe my motion was, and I'm sure they could play it back somehow, a 10% across the board budget cut. How each department head gets there is up to them.
Yes.
Don,
No.
was
Motion carries.
your proposal.
No, she changed my.
You know what,
I
I'm
didn't
gonna
change your
vote, I'm
proposal.
gonna change my vote to no, and now you guys can tell us how you wanna do it.
That's what,
I'm not getting
That's
stuck
what-
with this.
that's what I asked.
No, I'm changing it back. So motion fails. Now you guys can get in on this next one. I'm not getting stuck with this. So now we're back where we started. Ryan, John, let's hear your ideas.
This is my idea to cut $1,230,000 out of the budget.
And you voted no.
No, the motion was 10% across the
That's
board.
why I tried.
Okay,
to read
then
the motion.
I understand why
Okay.
Dan
So
changed
now
his vote.
we're back. and
Okay,
You guys, I'd like a motion and a second from you guys. So, Ryan, let's hear your plan.
all right, I'm going to put forth the motion that I think John was intending. We move to pass the budget with a 10% cut. Across the board cut to the operating expenses of the departments. How that is done is up to them. It has to be of the operating expenses.
That's what I voted yes on.
Yeah,
You voted no on that.
that's
No.
what how is that any different than what Wanda proposed?
Because Wanda's was across the board. That would have included
Yep.
personal expenses.
I don't
personnel
think that
expenses.
was her intent at all. I think this is semantics, and I think a couple people tried to get out of voting. That's what I
absolutely
think.
not. Second Ryan's vote. I'll second that. Am I allowed to second it?
I don't know.
I think you.
Tyler, am I allowed to second that motion?
As a chairman,
You're
can
a
you second
voting
it?
member, you have the same rights as everybody else on this board,
I don't know.
so you certainly can.
I don't know. I think might be a problem. I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Ryan. I have a second by Wanda. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Or do you want a
Aye.
vice?
Well, roll call vote.
Yes.
Wanda,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Don,
Yes.
John.
Yes. Motion carries.
again, this is nothing
Now-
any of us wanted to do, guys.
My understanding of the process is, Patty, that we have until the 1st of October to do a final budget.
So
Is that correct?
Well, you can. Yes, you can change it and do an amendment.
Okay. I would,
it's gotta be in an open
I would
meeting.
suggest that
Yeah,
we,
it's gotta be at a meeting.
I would suggest that we conduct a meeting where we specifically address the budget and open to the public, and we should do it in the next few days.
I'm sorry,
It's public comment at this point in time.
step up to the microphone.
Randy Frank. This is BS what Don's saying. This is what you're here tonight. You got 2 weeks to do a budget. Get it done and go on. You had your meeting on Friday that was open to the public with the guy from Pier.
14 people showed up.
Right. Nobody shows up in the middle of the day because everybody's working. You're gonna beat this thing to death for 2 weeks and still have the same problem at the end of it. Get it done tonight and go on. I don't wanna pay more taxes, but I want my roads.
Amen.
And you can't cut any more from the road budget because they're crap now.
Correct.
So you can't take any more of the road budget. Problem I see, you raise taxes, it goes to public vote. The people in town kick it out and the county gets stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you change that.
But you gotta. I felt that same way too, and statistically, you can back it up with the number of people that are voting city versus town. But a huge part of our budget increases over the last few years has come in law enforcement. People that are not behaving the way they should. That's a big part of it. I think you had it in here, didn't you, John?
That's another spot I could say that the law enforcement, you can't cut away the protection we got. Because
And you can't cut away the state's attorney because they gotta go to court every time somebody's arrested, and
so
it's a dilemma.
to drag this out another 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks, because Patty's got to have it done. You can't approve a budget on the 29th and give it to her, whatever, and expect things to be done. It's got to be done. Quit hacking around about it and,
Okay.
you know, thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Are we on number
Commissioner-
9 now?
On what?
They already did it.
Oh,
We
did-
already did them all. We're at number 16, commissioner updates.
You want to start, Wanda? You have anything?
I have nothing of value.
I don't believe that.
Ryan, you got anything?
Well, I mean, just the idea, I think, we know we just made this big budget cut. It really puts our departments into a bit of a scramble, and I do think like if I'm gonna expect that budgets aren't gonna be met next year. There's gonna be overages. Hopefully they're not bad. Hopefully we still end up cutting expenditures, which is what we really need to do. And I don't know, I think would be nice to show like, hey, like some incentive. If we do have a department head that can make these budget cuts and make them work and meet a budget cut with a 10%, then I think we should try to think about some ways of providing an incentive or just some extra recognition for really helping out the county.
I think that's a proposal we can live with. And I think we
if
can
we
do that.
if we do something like that, though, we also need to look at where their budget started, because we have some departments that budget, you know, very, very precisely. They don't have a lot of employees and they're right there. And then we have other departments that, you know, let's face it, has quite a bit of fluff in there, or they have quite a few open ones. So to me, it wouldn't be fair to look at one department that had money left over. Is it because they did a great job maybe, or maybe it's because their budget wasn't as fine tuned as others to begin with? So I think that would need to be considered.
Okay, any other updates?
Yes, there's a South Dakota Veteran Council meeting tomorrow at noon for any veterans if they want to attend, a free meal. And then I'd also like to just take a moment and say that the legislature is having a special session coming up to talk about the prison. And Right now, the word that I hear is that it's not gonna pass. But what does that mean to you guys as the taxpayer? If we don't get a new prison built, that means our jail is gonna fill up with people who should be in the state prison, but they're not. All right, and they're here in Yankton County at your expense. What else does that mean? That means a person like Tim Wilson, who our good state's attorney just prosecuted, he had how many, 8 or more offenses, drugs. He was a sex offender, assault. Guess what? He got out of prison early because we don't have space. And then he stabbed somebody in our community. That's what you get without that prison being built. I don't like the price tag of the prison. Nobody does. But what I don't like more is violent people getting out of prison early and stabbing our citizen. I
Although-
hope you're not the next person.
Although in point of fact, legislature did pass a new law that all violent offenders have to spend their time. If judge gives them 10 years and suspends 2, they have to sit 8, so they're not getting out early anymore.
But a drug abuser might get out and then stab somebody. So
Well,
there's all I'm saying is there's a consequence to not building a prison.
and some random person might be having a bad day and run over somebody.
Okay. Don, you got anything to add?
Went to the conference,
Yeah, we did.
a lot of great, discussions with other counties and auditors and treasurers and, commissioners. People are working. But it's a challenge to everybody, and, if anybody wants to look at what the workshops were, I'll just read down through a few of them. Lead with a Purpose, Secretary of State Elections, Rural Attorney Recruitment Program, Old Bridges to New Box Culverts, just a mass of ideas from different people on, and different, organizations that, could help us, solve some of our problems. It was a good, conference. I'm glad it went.
Yeah, I am too. And one thing that I guess, that, Senate Bill 216, the property tax bill that the governor put together, kind of one thing that I'd really like the people to understand and know that, yes, there's a cap at 3% on property tax increases, but it's countywide. It's not, your house could go up more than 3%, but it's not, it's got to be countywide instead of individual. So if you're thinking you're in a $800,000 house and your taxes may not go up by more than 3%, that's a falsity. But it's countywide. So if you're living it, so that's one thing I guess I didn't really understand, and just wanted to I understand it a lot better now since I went to the convention. And that's not the only
Good thing, right, Brian? Yeah, give us a bigger levy and we can go farther.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, I'd accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Dan, second by Wanda to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Commend you on your decision. I was gonna say, let's go back about 15 years ago. Oh, when then Governor. You didn't raise your hand though. Then Governor Booker, that's the same budget like kids sent across the border. Yeah, and we still survived. That's kind of what I said, didn't I?
And we will too.
And
But 10% doesn't do it. That's a third of it. It's a freaking problem of it. I gotta turn this up.
no. I'll keep that in mind, because we believe.